So thank you, first of all, to the lovely people of the Jane Davenport world, because they have sent me some goodies to play with. They saw my other Periscope and YouTube video, and they said, oh, would you like to play with some more things? And I'm like, yeah, I want to play with some more things. Totally, for sure. So we are going to be playing with INKredible ink today. This is it. I'll get over here for you. Ta-da. And each one of them has its own little cover art. So these are just like, this does not make any difference when you buy a product. But the fact that Janie took the time, she's Janie in my head now, took the time to make individual artwork for each package, I just think that that's really, there's a sense of dedication there. This is personal. It isn't just like, oh, I'm going to stick everything into the same, and I'm not trying to out Tim or anything, but I mean, that's what this packaging looks like. So everything looks the same. And then you come over here and it's like, oh, but look, individual artwork means that this is super personal. Nathaniel says it, and I agree. It shows that she's proud of her product. This is her baby. And it also kind of gives you like there's just a little bit of, you know, and here's a suggestion. Here's something that you could do with it, which I like. So,
each one comes in this little 1 fluid ounce dripper bottle, and each has its own unique smell. Let's take a look. So I've had these for a while, and I've actually been playing with them, and I've been debating because I really wanted to get more colors, but then I decided I really just needed to get this review out to you and then go buy the rest of the colors, because yes, that is a spoiler how much I really like them. So I'm going to show off a little bit about the packaging, and then we're going to drip some onto my palette, and we're going to really have a chance to play with these. So these come in this little medicine dripper bottle with a rubber stopper at the top, and yeah, each one has its own smell, and I wish that there was smell-o-vision, because this does have a very light hydrangea smell. And the colors that I got for review purposes are hydrangea, mermaid tail, violet syrup, and watermelon. Now, as you can see, when they first come out, they look really dark and really saturated, and that's because there's a lot of color here. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is these are not meant to be applied directly to paper as you see them. Wait till you see what happens when I add water. So these have been sitting for just a minute while I went and got some fresh water. I'm just going to add a drip out of my water brush across them, and look at how the colors really just amazingly pop to life. So I do want you to know that these are very rich, they are very concentrated, and so you can use them direct to paper, you can blend colors in a palette, thin them down, make them more pastel, but there is a lot of color to be had in these little drips. I also want to reassure you that while there is a mild odor, these are not so intense that it's going to knock you out of the room, or if you have sensitivities that they're going to set you off. Really, unless you get right up on them, they are not a heavily scented product. As I mentioned, this is just regular old journal paper, and so this is not meant to hold a lot of media, but I wanted to show you that, again, even though I did use a lot of water there, there's still a lot of color to go around. The next thing I'm going to do is show you how this works on actual watercolor paper. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm using this heavy-duty watercolor paper. This is, I think, 140 pound. It is definitely heavier, and I'm just going to add a few dots. If you like to make kind of those fun backgrounds where you get surprised by what you get, this is also a lot of fun. So again, it just looks like these dark dots going in. I'm just going to kind of spray it around, and next thing I'm going to do is add a mist of water. So if you like that color bursting effect that's very loose and very painterly to make kind of fun swirly backgrounds, you can absolutely do it with this product. There is a lot of color in each drop.
So for this next segment, I'm actually pulling a piece of footage that I did on a live periscope. A lot of people like to use these like traditional watercolors that are liquid and blend their own custom colors. And I just wanted to show you I blended some of the blue and some of the, I think it was a watermelon color to create this pretty purple. I also tried adding the Incredibles right to my water brush. And yeah, if you want to make your own fillable water brushes and custom colors, you can absolutely do that. I found that these Incredible inks don't have any like real particulate to them. You know, sometimes if you are working with watercolor pan, you get like little granules or little particulates. Even some liquids have that. These are not the kind that you have to shake up to make work. They are just pure color. They don't have any of that like kind of residue or fallout that sometimes you see in watercolors. Now, I'm also going to warn you, these will absolutely stain your fingers. So if you are valuing your manicure, which I clearly do not, just wear a rubber glove. I also want to share that in this particular piece, I added a few extra products that are also water soluble. And because it's all water based, they do mix and mingle with all of your other water based products. Okay, so for this next part of the demonstration, I'm sharing with you one of my favorite techniques. I just dripped a few of the Incredibles onto my nonstick craft surface. I'm using the Tim Holtz mat, but you can use whatever mat or parchment paper that you have. You add enough drops of water until you see things start to bead up, and then you lay your rubber stamp, I know it looks like a red hot mess, into the puddles, and then you put it on your paper and you kind of give it a little smudgy little massage, and when you lift up you get this really awesome watercolor style print. Now, if you get little bubbles, don't worry about those, because if you use a heat tool or if you just let it out to dry, those little bubbles will pop and go away, and you'll end up with a more intense color at the end. I just couldn't resist. I have to show you just one more. And I used a little bit of a sparkle spray. Now, if you have any of the Jane Davenport mermaid markers, you can also use those in this technique. And as a matter of fact, if you look up in the card section, I actually have a full tutorial on this on YouTube if you just can't get enough the way I can't. Okay, so this probably goes without saying, but I feel like I should anyway, that if you're going to use these water-based products, make sure that you're using a hybrid or a waterproof stamp pad. I used a hybrid ink here, and as you can see, the Incredibles are going over top of it. It's gorgeous, and then you keep your nice black color. Just make sure you use a waterproof ink.
So I tried to do kind of a resist technique, and I'm just gonna tell you, it did not turn out great. I think it's because the Incredibles are so pigmented, they kind of just like roll over the area. I don't know, it just doesn't work great. So I'm not gonna recommend this product for resist. So there's that. Now I did want to share how this turned out. I think this looks great. So this is when I used those nice pastes and then let it dry and then went over top. Notice how it doesn't exactly resist, but it does color it and make a really cool pattern and texture. It looks kind of like tie-dye. Okay, so this is the original piece that I showed you with the color samplings. Now what we're gonna do is take a little bit of water and see if it lifts up. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just kind of give it some splatters and give it a few minutes to rest. And then we're gonna lift it up with a paper towel. There you go. So the good news is if you like to get those kind of tone-on-tone effects through a stencil or with water, you absolutely can. The bad news is that if you want to layer this with another layer of inks, it is going to change the bottom layer unless you spray seal it or protect it in some way. So as you can now tell, these are water reactive. So this is another technique I'm going to show you. I have a whole video on this, but I think it's kind of fun to do with these kind of inks. I'm just going to apply a little bit of the Incredibles to this acrylic block. You know, it's a little messy. It doesn't really matter. Now what I'm going to do is spritz it with a little bit of water, like so. And I'm going to use a paintbrush to just move the color kind of around a little bit. You can do this with any spray ink or dye, but I just thought it was really fun to do with the Incredibles since I have them out. Now, I'm gonna leave this here in the middle, and I'm actually gonna take my cardstock and I'm gonna lay it down on top. And then I'm just gonna give it a little massage. And now I have a really cool focal area to do other stamping on.
So I'm going to wrap up by showing you some of the projects that I made with these inks, and yes, they get 2 very inky thumbs up for me. As a matter of fact, I have already ordered more. I'll have some links in the description where you can learn more and order some for yourself. And yeah, the only downside is that they will sting your fingers and you may spend a lot of money. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and demo. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and as always, have a crafty day.